The most important phrases you will ever use in your life are I am, I can, I feel, I see, I know. Whenever you say I am, you're basically assuming an identity. So when you say I am a self sabotager, you're assuming the identity that you are that. You know, if you consider yourself toxic or problematic, whenever you say I am, being that becomes so much easier. So that's why there's power in I am. I am is your identification. You are creating your life every single moment, whether you believe it or not. You are making an agreement that says you are something. And you need to understand that whatever you're saying, if you don't agree to it, don't say it. Because there's identification in what you say. If you say, I am this and you're not that, you're identifying with that. If you say you can't do this, you're identifying with that. If you're saying you feel something you don't feel, for instance, a low vibration, which is fear, anxiety, you're identifying with that. If you say you see whatever you see, you're creating a world where that's there. If you know that something has power over you and you claim that, then you are manifesting a world where that is true. So if you know something isn't good for you or doesn't resonate with your routine anymore, you need to take a step back and ask yourself why you still want to do this thing. If you know it serves no purpose in moving you forward or growing you as a person, why must it stay in your routine? Sometimes we're just chasing a feeling, and that feeling isn't really a feeling. It's a chemical in our brain, and our brain just likes producing feel good feelings or emotions, whatever you want to call it. So you've got to consciously reaffirm to yourself that you are still full without this thing. And I was writing about addiction at one point, and something I realized is when you think you have an addiction to something, you're affirming power to that thing. It's never really the substance, it's what that substance makes us feel. So you've got to reaffirm to yourself that you are still complete without this thing. You need to stop running from your life and you need to face what's creating that problem. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's procrastination. You need to figure out what your thing is. What is your why? And why is your why causing your life to go in so many different directions? So, what I've come up with is this little piece of paper. On this paper is a couple of things that I can control. And I feel like you need to make your own list so you can recognize what you can control in your life, and then you can, make small improvements in your every single day. So, what can I control? I can control how I spend my time. I can control the content that I consume. I can control what I feed myself day to day. I can control working on my body daily. I can control my boundaries. I can control the amount of love that I give to random people. And I feel like you constantly want to be in this vibration of love. Be loving to anybody. You never know what someone's going through. There's been so many moments in your life where you probably had a bad day and someone might have not noticed. So think about this when you go through your days. Someone might be having a bad day and you're not aware of that. So if you're loving and caring to those around you, you can make someone's day better. I always try to reaffirm to people that they are capable of doing whatever it is that they want to do, that they can live the life that they want, that they can take action, that they can move boundaries, and that they can essentially become a brand new person. You aren't gonna be who you are in this moment for the rest of your life. So don't hold yourself hostage. If there's something you don't like about yourself, change it. You have the power to. Eventually you'll wake up one day and you'll actually see all the things you've been reaffirming to yourself. Whether that be that you are beautiful, handsome, intelligent, smart, you'll recognize these things because when you say something subconsciously, or when you say something consciously and it enters the subconscious mind, Your subconscious mind will find ways to make whatever you're saying true. So if you assume that you are problematic, like I said, you will find ways to be problematic easier. It's simple. You've never experienced a life that you did not want. Everything has been manifested somehow, some way. Now, that might not be true for every single experience, but your day to day is a reflection of the state of mind you're living. The second thing I had on my list was being more present. And I felt like I was always thinking about some problem, some event in my life, or reliving some situation and giving that more power over the present moment. And I feel like you got to get out of your head. You got to stop living in the past and you got to stop living in the future and you got to live for right now. If you want to create a better life, you need to let go of what happened and you need to let go of this idea that things aren't going to happen. You need to sit in this present moment and you need to focus and you need to put more time into who you are right now and not who you were or not who you think you're going to be. If you think you're going to be this confident person, this person who's in shape, this person who is working hard, this person who's ambitious in the future, you need to be that now. A good analogy that I like is a farmer doesn't plant a seed and checks on it every single day. He knows somehow, some way, over a couple of days, weeks, months, whatever, that whatever he planted is going to grow. You need to have that same confidence that whatever you're doing is going to grow. It just needs time. If you know there is some work calling you because it's just meant for you, do not ignore those signs. And on the other hand, if there's something that is being called out of your routine or everyday life, let it go. You feel me? You need to be free flowing and you need to recognize what you're being called to and what you're being called out of. So often we want to become different people, but we don't want different routines. And we get held hostage in who we once were and not who we currently want to become. So if you were once a lazy person who didn't walk every day, try and become someone who does walk every day. If you're trying to get in more shape, just make some goals to go to the gym throughout your week. It's not rocket science and it doesn't need to be. Just make simple changes throughout your week or every day. And you'll reap the benefits. Something that I was saying earlier about self-sabotage, it's really just a shitty solution. So I feel like sometimes when people have shitty solutions, it's really just their body saying they have no hobby and you need to find a hobby, because doing something that isn't rewarding to your body in a healthy way is not a life you kind of want to live for a very long time. I think we definitely need to go through cycles of self-sabotage to learn that we're just lacking self-love and we have shitty solutions. And then you need to find what good solutions are. If you have a drinking problem, try and pick up walking, try and pick up hiking, try and spend more time in nature. I feel like a lot of drinkers might be anxious, so try and find ways to calm yourself down. And if you're a pothead and you want to stop smoking, you might be too much in your head. So try and find ways to socialize, Like I said, do the same things you would do. Probably join a running group, go on walks, go on hikes, maybe even pick up painting or, knitting. Just something to kind of keep your whole body working, keep your whole body moving, brain, thumbs, hands, feet, whatever, just find something, and if your coping mechanism is something more physical, like um it's more of like a solo act or a group act, and you like the rush from there. If you're picking up what I'm talking about, maybe what you need to do is just move your body more, try dancing, try yoga, try meditation, try something that gets you the same feelings you would in that setting, just something that would, you know I guess make you feel more grounded in your body. If you feel like you're someone who likes to feel sensually something, try something different for once. If you want to be someone different, but you're trapped in a cycle or, a draining routine, don't focus on that. Just focus on staying busy, focus on doing something different. Think about the highest version of you and what they do. If it's one quality you can think of in the moment, just focus on that. Giving power to what's not growing you, and if it's not growing you, it's dead. Have good faith in your routine, have good faith in your action, and have good faith in yourself. Give yourself some credit. You survived majority of your bad days, whether you thought you would or wouldn't. And you might be recovering from some bad days too. So life isn't always going to be rainbows. And the way I think personally, I think it's always going to be rainbows because it's all about perception. At the end of the day, it's, life is really just black and white, and we just give color to what we want. So if you think that there's something calling you, or you're being called out of a routine, a job, a relationship, there's good purpose in that. You are so much more than you think you can be. So if you're setting the bar right here, the bar is probably right here and you don't even know it. Push yourself to a new limit. You are so capable. I honestly think that there's not one thing in this world that I can't do. And I want you to have that same belief that you are just so unique and so one of one, and that, life is gonna favor you for being that unique and one of one. So hold that close to your heart. Um, just be you, and you'll reap the benefit of that because there's only one you. So if you just do what you're being called to do and you just work on being the best version of you, how could you lose? Life is going to reward you. You just need to trust yourself first, cut yourself some slack, focus on what you can control, and let go of what you can't control. And I wish you luck, and it's going to get better. You just need to trust yourself.